let's get some positivity happening, and maybe we can get some more success and more income, more wealth, all that sort of thing going on, and we'll all do that together. So if you would, share the video and ask a specific question. I want you guys to ask, what does it mean to add value? What does it mean to add value? And then maybe, something along the lines, tweak it. What does it mean to add value? And how do you generate referral business? All right? What does it mean to add value? And what does it mean? What does it mean to add value? And how do you create referral business? For me, that's the ideal. That's the thing we're going to strive towards, and that's what we're going to talk about today. There's really a book that I'm focused on today. It's a book called The Go Giver by Bob Burke, and you can hop on my website, joewarsack.com. If you go to joewarsack.com and click on Inspire Me, or I think it's Inspire Me, Inspiration. I'm going to double check myself now. If you go to joewarsack.com, right in the middle of the page, you'll see 4 buttons. The one all the way on the right, I'm scrolling right now. Check it out. Get Inspired. See, I knew it was something different. Get Inspired. Click on the Get Inspired button, and at the top of the page, you'll see some of the books that have really impacted me. I've only got 4 there right now. I'm going to grow that out and have a whole page just for books. Because I think, and audibles, because I do audibles. I just don't have the time to sit down and read a book these days. So anyway, I'm a big fan of constantly learning and constantly being engaged in material. And so if you hop over there, joewarsack.com, click on Get Inspired, and you'll see more of the videos, more of my discussions from the past. Up there, if you scroll further down, but right at the top is 4 books, and one of them that I'm focusing on today is called The Go Giver by Bob Burke. Bob Burke, B-U-R-G. I sounded like a K there. Bob Burge. So anyway, what does it mean to be a go-giver? A go-giver is just basically someone who's learned to shift their focus from getting to giving, right? It's a person who has changed their mindset. They have realized that the most fulfilling life and the most financially beneficial life is to be a giver, not a taker. And we've all known those kind of people. You know who I'm talking about, who every time you see the phone ring, it's because they need something from you, right? The only time they come into your life is when they need something from you. Heck, we all have family that way. It's kind of crazy, but it repels us. It pushes us away. And so it's common sense if you really think about it, yet so many people never really snap to it. And there's differing degrees. It's not like you either are a giver or you're a taker. It's shades of in between. You'll find that in sales especially, that there's this constant kind of blurring of the line back and forth where it says that I'm really more interested in me than you, right? It's not a clear one way or the other. And it comes out in all sorts of different behaviors. One of the craziest things to me, and Randall and I, my business partner, talk about this all the time. One of the funny things for me with the realtor is when they're in the closing room and they say, I love my clients. Well, everybody loves their client. To me, that is one of those statements where you're just like, holy cow, yeah, you definitely love your clients when you're in the closing room because you're making money. I mean, who doesn't? I'm trying to adjust my lighting here. It looks a little low, and I had it set, but hey, that's the fun of cameras and technology, right? Anyway, so what does it mean to be a go-giver? There we go. Who is a go-giver? A go-giver is really just a person who has changed their mindset. They live in a focus of giving rather than taking. And more than that, just so they live in that focus, they actually understand that life works better that way. There's an ancient text that says it's better to give than receive. And a lot of times platitudes are said, or phrases are said in such a way that they're so simple or so direct that we never really get down into the why of it. But from the short version, just telling you guys, being a giver in life, being a person whose mindset is focused on adding value to other people's lives first, it really is a mindset. It really is something that you have to believe and buy into, just to live it. In order for it to be genuine and real, for it to work, it has to be a genuine belief. You can't just what's that? The whole you give $10 at church because the pastor's promised you that it'll return tenfold, and so you're looking for the $100. It doesn't work that way. You genuinely have to believe. You genuinely have to buy into the idea that to give is better than receiving. And as you do that process is what moves you over into it really working. I don't know how to explain it unless you just do it. And it's a pretty amazing thing once you get into it. So I'm going to jump in here, and I'm going to start showing some of these concepts here from the book, right? So I'm really going to dive into the principles of this book. You really need to get the book and read it for yourself. This is just going to be kind of the highlights of it. The law of value. What is that? The law of value. The law of value is that your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment, right? I think it was Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn. It was Zig Ziglar, I believe. I can't remember. Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn. I've listened to so many of these guys that they all kind of blur together in my head, right? I can't even tell when they're, my ideas are mine sometimes, and it's just like, I thought of that, but no, I got it from somebody else. Anyway, he said you can't help but getting what you want if you help enough people get what they want. When you're adding value to people's lives, money is just a symptom of adding value. Money flows from or follows value, right? And so our focus shouldn't be on the dollar. Our focus shouldn't be how much commission am I going to make, that sort of thing. Our focus should really be on adding value to people's life. That's the first law. Very important to understand that. Our focus shouldn't be on the dollar. Our focus should be on adding value. The law of compensation. What does that mean? The law of compensation is your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. Again, so if you are focused on compensation, you're focused on the symptom. If you're chasing the dollar, you will always be chasing the dollar because it's just a symptom. How much you are compensated, right? You could write that formula down. The law of compensation says that it is determined by how many people I serve and how much value I add to their life. And so the more people I'm able to serve their interests, their needs, the more people I'm able to focus on to provide value in their lives, the greater amount of money I'm going to make. It really is a mindset. It's absolutely flipping the script. It's backwards, putting the formula in reverse, so to speak, on what is our nature when we're looking at the dollar bill. So there you have that. The third law, the law of influence. Now check this out. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Now think that through. How much influence you have in life, how much you're able to impact other people's life, how much you're able to move them and impress them. Impress is not the greatest word. Move them, inspire them, whatever, is directly connected to how abundantly you put other people's needs first. The fastest way to be influential is putting other people first and by adding value to their life. It's a very important thing. And so again, what's the focus? Is the focus on the symptom? Like, I want to be influential, I want to be famous, I want to be known, etc. You have to add value. For some, that, it's like when we watch TV, some of the biggest shows, some of the biggest podcasts, all this sort of thing are just goofy. They're silly, but the value that they're adding is entertainment. They're being entertaining, and that's the thing that has added value to the person's life. Again, if you want to have influence, then you have to focus on adding value. The law of authenticity. The most valuable gift you have to offer is you. Now, this is a big one to me, time. There's one thing we all have, only one, and everything flows from this. The one thing we have to give is ourselves, our time. And we aren't promised another second, which is why it's so valuable. So when I focus on giving away my time, when I focus on giving of me, it is really the most important, the most valuable thing I have to offer. Hey, Mars, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, girl. I miss you. I hope your neck is feeling better and all that sort of thing. I want to see you this week. So anyway, I saw you were taking some medication or something that had made you feel a lot better. So that's awesome. I'm glad you're feeling better. Talking about being a go-giver, Mars, and being a person of value and influence to other people's life, and how to do that. And through that, create money and all the symptoms that flow from being a go-giver. Creating referral business is what I'm trying to help people out here with. So the law of authenticity is the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. All your skills, all your people skills are for nothing, if you don't come from a place of authenticity. And really, this is probably one of the most challenging things to consider. When you're working with somebody on a sale, when you're working with someone in their life, just from helping them out and that sort of thing, it's very easy for that line. Like I communicated this point earlier, where it's not black and white. It's not like a light switch where it's off and on, where you're either a giver or a taker. It's 2 points on a scale, and you move back and forth between these two places. And the more you get over to the scale of being a giver and genuinely focused on the interests of the other person and their needs first, the greater influence you will have. And that translates to, success in all sorts of different ways, right? It translates to success monetarily. It translates to success in happiness, personal happiness, just a bunch of different stuff. And so it's one of those things where it's the law. It's like the law of authenticity. It really works this way. I mean, like, put it to the test and try it, kind of a thing. So again, a principle of, if you want to generate wealth, success, happiness in life, and all this sort of thing, you have to start becoming these things. But you can't start focusing on becoming these things because you want the wealth and the success. It's such a weird thing. It's a bit of a catch-22. You just genuinely have to want to be it, so before it starts working. And then when you see it starts working, you can kind of prime the pump, so to speak, and start building on it. The last law, the law of receptivity, and this is a fun one, is that the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. Breathing out, breathing in, giving, receiving, they all work best when they're working together. It's really funny how some people aren't receptive to receiving, right? If I have given you value, if I've genuinely added value to your life, then I should be open to receiving value, right? It's a disservice to myself, and that's just as bad as a disservice to somebody else. We're all equal in our design and in our humanity and all that sort of thing. And so in order for it to work best, you really have to be open to receiving blessings just as much as giving blessings. That's a critical component. So not going to be too long today. Like I said, I'm going to do a quick review here real quick. I'll fly through them, but be sure to share the video. Ask your friends what it means to add value to, you could, whatever you're pulling from this conversation. What does it mean to you to add value to other people's life? how do you create referral business? Either of those kind of questions works. All right. If I want to create referral business, I give referrals. I give in order to receive. It's just the way it works. In fact, there's a law called the law of reciprocity, that it's predictable that what you give, you'll receive, and typically the receiving end is greater than what is given. It's human nature that we work that way. Test it out if you don't believe me. So, who is a go-giver? There's a book that I'm recommending here today. People get weird because I am a gifty giver. I like that, Mars. People get weird because I'm a gifty giver. You might have to explain that. But I like the sounds of it, right? Yeah. Be a gifty giver. I already like the sounds of it, so you may want to explain it further for anybody else that's tuning in, but I like it. Who is a go-giver? A go-giver is just somebody who's learned in life, who has figured out that shifting their focus from themselves to giving value to other people is more fulfilling, personally fulfilling, financially fulfilling, everything else. It just works, and it works better than being a taker. Try it and see. The law of value, your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you receive in payment. If you want payments to increase in life, just focus on adding value. The payments will come. That's money. Money is a symptom. It follows adding value. The law of compensation. How much you are compensated is directly tied to how much or how many people you serve and the amount of value that you're serving with them or serving to them. That's the law of compensation. The law of influence. Your influence is directly connected to your abundant giving and putting of the person's interests first. So how much you place the other person's interests and needs first is going to be a direct predictor of your level of influence in life. So again, test all this stuff, try it, give me some feedback if you don't believe me, but put it to the test. They don't know how to accept my presence. Aw, tell them by saying thank you. So I swallowed wrong there. Yeah, just say, here's my present, and then just say thank you. Enjoy it. Enjoy my gift, and that's the best way to thank me. Just roll with that. Wow, I almost choked there. And then the last thing, the law of authenticity. No, it's not the last thing. It's the fourth thing. I'm sorry. The fourth law is the law of authenticity. You have to be authentic. This is like the example I used was you can't give $10 at church because the pastor said that God will return it to you tenfold. If you're just giving it from a standpoint of, well, I'm giving this 10 because I know I'm going to make 100 back, it doesn't work that way. You have to be authentic in your giving. You have to be genuine in your giving. Otherwise, people can totally tell. Everybody, you have a sense of when somebody's being fake with you. You have to be authentic. And then the last thing is the law of receptivity. And that is that in order for it to work best, you have to be equally open. Mars, you were just giving a perfect example there. You were talking about they don't know how to accept my presence, right? That's a person who doesn't understand the concept that giving and receiving flow together. They are the same. How can that person add value and give in life if the person they're trying to give to won't receive either? And you may want to point that out to them. Maybe that's a deal to work. Kind of yin and yang, whatever you want to call it, but it's the flow of energy. I can't expect to pour out if I'm not willing to be poured into. It's just the way it works.